I decided that I will now show you how to do a listing on Etsy. I've shown you how to set up a shop, and here's a step-by-step, very detailed guide on how to sell something on Etsy. I thought this might be a good example because we've got a case where we've got a bit of spelling issues, so it's like a word that people may misspell. We've also got a situation where there's quite a few attributes and details that you need to put in. So for this particular video, I'm going to show you how to do a listing for a ring. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, so when you first created your shop, you'll literally have one listing and it will feature here. Because when you set your shop up, you had to actually do a listing in order to set the shop up. So I want to show you now, because I didn't in the previous video, exactly how to do it properly. So don't forget to like and subscribe because I'll be doing a lot of Etsy videos. Okay, so here is how to do a jewellery listing, for example, on Etsy. This can apply to other listings as well. So you go to add a listing, and then you go to add photo. Now I make sure that I use up all 10 photo options. So you click on add a photo, and I've just popped them in a separate folder so I can find them easily. Okay, so I'm just going to, so I've got one fairly close, fairly similar, one on my finger, one actually being worn, the side of it, the front of it, another sort of distance one, a close-up, wearing it and wearing it. And I'll show you another time how to edit photos as well. But you know, this is usually I also show jewellery with like a ruler as well to show how big something is, but in the case of this ring I feel it's fairly apparent by me actually holding it. Okay, so I'll open up all those pictures and they will load up. I've already written a title, so I'm just going to copy and paste that, but I'll explain why I've chosen what I've chosen. So we've got, it's a millefiori. Now I think that millefiori is something that people specifically search for, and so what I did was I had a little look at other listings of millefiori to see, and there certainly are these, you know, I'm definitely putting it in the right place. There's another one there that someone's advertising, someone's got it in their baskets, that's always a good sign. So while I load those up, I then also early on, because I think people early on want to know the sizing of a ring, I've put the date when it is, although actually 60s is better than 1960s when I've used marmalade, something else I've also discussed in the future. I've made sure I mention its shape. Cabochon is a word that's often searched for in jewellery. Millefiori bead, adjustable purple ring, so I'm putting in the colour. And then I've put Murano jewellery. Now the reason I did that was because I was looking at someone else's ring, had a little look. Now this is too repetitive, you don't need to write ring quite so many times. This is someone else's listing. And what I tend to do is, apart from using marmalade to see what's searched for a lot, I also have a little look at what other people are writing. So I noticed that they put Murano jewellery and blue Murano glass. So I've popped in Murano jewellery, and also made sure I put purple as well. Okay, so the next thing you want to do before you scroll any further down is to choose which picture you like and then make it look better for the thumbnail, because when people are searching in Etsy, they will see this basically. So you want to decide how you want to portray your jewellery. So for example, I've decided that for this one, sometimes I show them being worn, but I vary it. Sometimes I might use a photo like this, but sometimes I've found that rings that have sold with the actual full ring being shown. So then you go into adjust thumbnail, and I want to be as close to the listing, you know, when someone scrolls through, I want it to be big basically. So what I've done is I've absolutely zoomed in, and then you can move it, and I think central front central is good, and then you go to save. So we just wait for that to load up. You can't do anything while it's loading up, so you just have to wait. Okay, so I've sorted my thumbnail out. I've got my 10 photos of varying different sort of demonstrations of what it looks like, holding it. People love pictures of things being held, so I highly recommend you have those in there. In fact, my best-selling earring photos are where I'm holding one earring and then the other earring is sort of in the background. Very odd, but it seems to be so. That's a top tip for selling earrings, much better than on a mannequin for some reason. So I've put the sizing, I've put when it's from, the shape of it, what it's made of, word cabochon, word millefiori, that it's adjustable. And although they keep telling you to write listings that are short, so far, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm going to find if I want my stuff to be found, then I want to make sure I have as many keywords in my title as possible. Okay, so then who made it? So I didn't make it, it was another company or person. What is it? It's a finished product, it's not a supply or tool. And when was it made? And for this, it's 1960s. Okay, the category is ring, and then you type it in and see what they come in for. So I don't think it's a stackable ring, certainly not a ring dish. I would say it's a tough one. I think I'll go for statement ring. Okay, recipient. So you want to make sure every category you can is filled in unless it's not relevant. Okay, so I reckon it will probably be a girl. Women, I don't think it's unisex, so I'm going to keep it for the female part of the population. Material, well, it's a form of glass. There's no other, nothing else that I would say. It may be gold coloured, but it's not actual gold, so I can't. Sorry, silver coloured, but I won't actually put silver because it's silver plated, not silver. Is it recycled? No, but I'm not going to put either of those because it's not relevant. So you don't have to put yes or no. It's just simply not recycled. Gemstone. Well, this is for fine jewellery. It's not fine jewellery, so it's not. The option isn't there. Primary colour, so raw stone, no, it's not, but it's optional, so I don't need to put that in either way. Primary colour, purple. Band colour is silver. Ring size, so I'm going to go for the US size, I think, and a US size 6. A lot of my jewellery sells to the US even though I'm based in the UK. Adjustable, yes it is. Stone shape, it is oval. Style, this is always a tough one. I'd say it's probably mid-century. Let's see what this dude says in theirs. What have they said? Sometimes if I'm not sure when it was made, I sometimes look at what other people have put. Let's see if they've said when it's from. Because usually, well, it's quite useful. Let's see if they got any idea. They don't seem to be, no, they don't seem to be saying. So I'm going to guess 60s, so that would make it roughly mid-century. Theme, there are little tiny flowers, so I'm going to put floral. Spinner can be personalised. I'm not going to bother with either yes or no on those. Renewable options, for me, I always do automatic. Some people recommend manual, but I'm going to stick with the automatic. And is it a physical, it's not a digital file, so it's a physical product. Right, so in the description, what I tend to do is, first of all, if I go into my shop, manager, so in another, I'm in another page now. So I'm going into my main shop because in my about section, I've got this, and it is clickable. If you put an HTTP clickable link into your actual listing, it will come up. So the first thing I want to do is to get people to join my VIP club, which means they got 20% off, and also I gained their email list so I can sort of target them from there on. I also Then what I tend to do is I go up and copy and paste my title. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in there. And also I've got a set thing that I tend to say in all my listings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a recent listing that I've done today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my description here, and I'm going to copy all of this now because I don't want to have to write it all out, and I can't remember what I wrote anyway. So, whoops, so I'm just going to copy and paste all that and pop it in there. Okay, so now this is obviously for a different listing. So now instead of having to write all this every time, I've got a template. And normally what I do is I copy and paste, I copy a night listing. So say for example, I go into my shop manager and I go to listings. I'm doing it from scratch for you, but what I usually do is I go into a listing and what I do is I choose a listing that seems to have done quite well. Extraordinarily, this has already got a favourite and I only listed it recently, so I'm chuffed about that. Really chuffed, actually. But what I tend to do is go to the little cog thing and then I go to copy. But for this particular scenario, I've decided to do it from scratch. Okay, so this is what I copied from the title. I then have a look at what I've written here. So it's 1960s Millefiori ring, and then I sort of say, give a bit more explanation. So purple glass oval cabochon ring with tiny floral detail, lovely Murano glass adjustable ring. So now I've made sure that I've put maybe extra things that I might not have popped in here, or I've done them in different orders, and then if Google Shopping is on the case, then it will use the keywords from that. Okay, colour, it's purple, silver, because the band is silver, and white. Looks like white's going on. Sizing, so I've already got this written, so I just simply have to fill it in. So 6 there, and L and a half. I'd say excellent condition, perfectly fine. And what I tend to do is I do a reference to another ring. Or what I might do, actually what I do is, what you can do is do a list like a whole section reference. So what I'll do is I'll go into my shop. So I'll go into my shop. I'm going to go to rings. Now, people would recommend that you do bit.ly and, do, because it kind of makes it less massive. But in this case, I can't be bothered. So I'm just going to pop that in. So if anybody clicks on that, that will now take them to all the rings that I've got listed. Then I've got some little explanations about all my items are vintage, so no, you can't expect them to be absolutely perfect, although they usually are. Something about international buyers, please be aware there may be VAT, import or customs fees. Most items are cleaned, and then a little bit about hygiene for earrings, because they obviously have been worn at some point. The section, well, I've already created a section. If you haven't created a section, then you want to go to add a section, and it will let you choose. You can choose anything you like, but in this case I've already got a section, so it will go into vintage rings. Right, I'm going to do tags now. So I will do a separate video on how to do this well, and I also will do a video on how to use Marmalade. But for the minute, I'm going to just write all the things that I think are important. So Millefiori ring, and then I'll just press space. Also, it might be that someone thinks Millefiori is spelt with an I, which some listings actually are spelt with an I. So if you go to Millefiori, so I want to make sure I catch everybody who spells it wrong as well. So although there's only 13 results, it still is, you know, people are spelling it wrongly. So I want to make sure I catch those people who spell it wrongly. Millefiori, let's say 60s ring. Glass cabochon, I happen to know, is quite a good. Let's see if I can fit all that in. Yeah, purple glass ring. Vintage Millefiori, because it seems quite important that. Floral flower. 1960s, because I haven't said 1960s yet. What else? It's delicate and dainty. Oh, very good. It's got a thin band and it's adjustable. So you just make sure you fill these tags in completely. Some of them you want to make sure you focus on the important title information, but you also want to make sure you have other words in here. So you basically, between your title and your tags, you've got every single possible permutation that you can think of. Right. I'm struggling. So silver plated, I haven't put silver plated. I tend to put ring at the end as well. White, silver, purple. You want to have gift somewhere, so gift for daughter. Or you can have gift, and you might want present, because we say present in the UK more than gift. So present for mum. Wow, that actually fitted, amazing. And then if you're struggling a little bit, and also you want to be found for when people type your shop name in with gaps, because don't forget that your shop title is always with no gaps at all, but people very rarely look for a shop title in one go. They'll have gaps. So I can't quite fit in Isabel Vintage Jewels, but when people search Isabel Vintage Jewels, so I'll show you. If you go to Isabel Vintage Jewels, then because I put it into my tags, it will appear here basically. And all these ones, it's not all the ones that I'm listing, but it's all the ones that I've put in Isabel Vintage Jewel into the tags. So you can shop, if people went and searched for without spaces, obviously they would find me absolutely easily. They would basically go straight to my shop, but you want people to, if you're there searching for you, you want them to be able to find you when they've got gaps in the search. And that's how it's only got 64 results, even though I've got more than that in my shop, because those are the listings that I've added my shop name into the tag. So it's quite important actually to do that for a few. You don't have to do it for all of them, but that means you'll be found when they search for this, basically. Materials, glass, stone, and then silver plated. So you want to fill absolutely everything in, because all these pieces of information are going to help you with the algorithms for Etsy to find you. Okay. So done all that, and then pricing. So right, just very quick thing on pricing. What I tend to do is have a look for what other people are charging, and then I tend to charge a bit more. Actually, what I tend to do is I put relevancy, go from highest price, because I want to see what's the highest price for Millefiori. Right, well this is probably signed and it's sterling silver, so I obviously wouldn't price myself close to that, and bear in mind the advert ones aren't going to be in the pricing order. That's ridiculously expensive. I also got to think about what I paid. That's ridiculous, and mine isn't as nice as that. So I would say, because mine's not silver, I think what I would do, let's just go to one further along. would say 15. I'm going to go for £15. There's only one of it, there's no SKU, there's no restock because I'm one of a kind, there's no variations because I've just only got that, there's no personalisation for me, and I've already set up a delivery option which I basically put onto everything. So this particular one, if I just have a quick look at it, is my processing time is 1 to 3 days. And I do United Kingdom, Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, everywhere basically. And I do separate prices for each one, but I've also got what we've called a free delivery guarantee. So you can, I'll show you that in another video. And so that's it. Destination. Okay, so that's just showing me what the person who's going to buy this will see, because there's no postage cost if they're in the UK. If they're in Australia, it'll be £5.25. Okay, so that's just giving me, letting me know. And then, will I advertise this listing? Well, currently, I'm doing a course myself actually as to how to do Etsy ads, because that's an area that I still am learning myself since it's only started up the end of last year. So at the moment, what I'm trialing is just advertising one section. And at the moment, I'm just advertising my necklace section. So no, I'm not going to advertise it right now. And this is a new thing. This has appeared recently, which I only spotted the other day. So just be careful for the minute. Before you start, if you're really new to Etsy and you've never done something like this before, what I suggest you do is don't advertise anything and do it from the different section where it's marketing, advertising. We'll look at that later. So for the minute, no, not right now. And then basically go to publish, or you can save it if you want to work on it later. Publish. Oh, so I've obviously missed something out. Or is it just having a little flid at me? Let's see. As far as I can tell, I have filled in everything. Quantity, variations, delivery, publish. There you go, having a little meltdown. And then for every listing, no matter what price it is that you're selling for, that's the genius. And I think the thing that's better in some ways than maybe eBay is that you pay just one set price regardless of the value. So if I'm selling something for 95 quid, it still is only 20 cents. And I'm going to keep it on renew automatically, but you might not want to. You might want to renew it sooner than that. And there are methods where people renew listings that just aren't selling within the 4 months, maybe after 2 months, in order to get it sort of more near the search, the search list. But I'm just going to stick it on that. I just find it easier, and then I go to publish, and that's going to come off my listings basically. So there you go. So I've done an entire listing from start to finish, and I hope that you find it helpful. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be thinking of different things that you might want to know. What I'll probably do is go through all these sections here next to explain them and to show you the kind of things that you need to be looking at. Probably settings I think we'll do, because I want you to know exactly what you need to have in these. And there's a few things that if you don't do them, you can be in a lot of trouble really and could potentially get closed down. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and hopefully you'll be back for more in the future. Thanks very much. Bye.